Anything bad, we're recording. Let me know when you're ready to go.
We can go ahead and get started.
Okay. Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today, in our next step of our VMSG dashboard training, we're going to talk about performance monitoring. First thing we're going to do is do a little bit of a review of the performance management cycle here, talk a little bit about the pyramid just to get everybody back up to speed. Then we're going to talk about the various tools involved in performance monitoring. We're going to talk about the dashboard itself, which is what we call macro level performance monitoring. Then we're going to go into micro level performance monitoring, where we're looking at the specific objective and activities. We're going to go into reporting, and then we're going to go into VMSG public. So typically it takes about 45 minutes to get through this today. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll pass the horse. Performance management, remember, is three phases. Number one being developing those operational plans using the pyramid model. Today, this is what we're going to be talking about. The various levels. Macro level performance monitoring is kind of the big picture. You can look at any level in the dashboard. You can look at the entire department on one screen. You can look at your strategic plan on one screen, anything you want. Micro level is when you get down to the objective and activity level, being able to look at the current status there. And the reason that that's important is because sometimes at the macro level, it's too big a picture to look, and you don't see the things that are kind of creeping up at the micro level. So the ability to look at the micro level is in there as well. And then VMSG public is the ability to share any of that information, if you will, with the public via a public-facing web page. And then performance improvement. Now, the performance monitoring is kind of the key element for the check phase of the PDCA cycle. You got to have the tools to be able to check, see what your status is. Remember the pyramid again. Organization is your health department. Groups is the structure of your health department. Each group has a set of services or initiatives. Services are ongoing things. Initiatives are future things you're trying to do. And then each one has a set of goals, objectives, and activities. For today, we're going to use the same example that we've been using, the Tobacco 2023 group, tobacco cessation, reduce smoking in high schools at the goal level, reduce smoking at Wayne High School by 25% by the end of the school year, the SMART objective, and then the steps we're going to go through to get there. So, as I mentioned, the first thing we're going to talk about is the dashboard, what we call macro level performance monitoring. So I'm going to take you live into the system here. So I'm going to look at the dashboard. Now, the dashboard is, what you see on the dashboard is dependent on what you've selected on the group screen. So if I selected my department here, I would be looking at the entire department on one screen. I can look at just my strategic plan, so I can see just the status of my strategic plan, or any of the FAB calls their 6-pack of plans up here. For today, I'm going to go down to community health, and then I'm going to go up to the top right corner to the traffic light up here and click on that. Takes usually about 10 or 12 seconds to render the screen because it's gathering a bunch of data in the background. And what we'll be seeing is kind of the status at the big picture level, and then drilling down to several levels down here at the bottom. But the first thing we see on the top left corner here is the traffic light, and it's all you're doing is looking at the number of traffic lights in each status in here. So again, remembering green means things are moving along as expected. Gold means things are successfully completed. Yellow would be something's potentially getting in the way. Red, something came to a dead stop here. And then you've got the schedule gauge up here, which is just saying aggregately, in this case, across community health, for all of these activities, we're about 2 days behind schedule, which is really pretty good. It turns green when you get on schedule, turns red when you get 60 days behind schedule. I can also look at any level in the plan. I can look at the activity level, the objective level, or the goal level for the traffic lights in here. The other thing we talked about before is that you can drill down on anything here. So if I wanted to look at these four activities here, I can just click on that. It's It's going to take me to those 4 activities that are behind schedule. And this is where I could go in and take a look at it, maybe drill down and figure out what's going on. Maybe make some assignments to get things back on track, whatever. So from here to get back to the dashboard screen, I got 2 choices. I can either use the back arrow or I can go back to my traffic light. I'll go ahead and use the back arrow. And it is going to take another, again, 10 or 12 seconds to rebuild that screen, because we could have made changes on this particular screen, which would affect the dashboard screen. So now, not just up here are things clickable. Anything down here is clickable. So I could look at all of the activities Diane has been assigned, or I could go down and say, I'm just looking at Diane's 5 lagging activities. So this is my first view down here is my people. So these are the folks that I've assigned as activity leads down at the activity level here. This column we're talking about is the last time this person updated their information. Just to review, green is 30 days or less. If it was yellow in here, it would be 30 to 60 days, and red is over 60 days. The FTE column, again, is that roll up of the full-time equivalent from the activity level, again, typically used during budgeting cycles and things along that line. Lagging means that I have activities that are calculated to be behind schedule. The calculation is pretty simple. You've got a beginning date and an ending date on each activity and the current date, and then the status. So let's say I have an activity that's scheduled for January 1 through December 31st, and I'm sitting at July 1st, so I'm halfway through the year. So if my activity is 50% complete at halfway through the year, I'm right on track. If I'm 40% complete at halfway through the year, I'm behind schedule. If I'm 60% complete, I'm ahead of schedule. So that's all we're calculating on the lagging here. The days column is the same as the schedule gauge. So Diane is aggregately 55 days ahead of schedule on all the activities she's been assigned. Overdue is just saying that the ending date of the activity is in the past. So if the ending date was April 30th and today is May 19th or whatever, 16th, 15th. Yeah, I should know that. Tomorrow's my daughter's birthday. Okay, May 15th, then we're behind schedule in here. And the color coding on here indicates same as 30, 60, 90 days indicates how far behind schedule. So at least one of Diane's activities is over 30 days behind schedule. And then a number of red, yellow, green, and gold. And again, you can see I can drill down on any of these just like I did up at the traffic light, take a look at it. So that's my first view, is my people. My second,
Fred,
yes.
Can I just interrupt for a second?
Yes.
Can you actually click on any of those numbers, the days, the logging, and that tells you the tasks that they are behind, or did you say yeah, you can or
yes.
you can't?
So if I wanted to look at Diane's 5 lagging activities, I'll click on that, and it'll take me to those 5 activities that are on my schedule. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
The nice thing is everything is clickable so that you don't have to go looking for the information. It's right there for you.
And when you leave a screen, it automatically saves, or do you have to save it?
It'll tell you if you didn't save it, you'll get a dialog box says, do you want to save it? So it gives you the option. Sometimes you're clicking around and you don't mean to change something, and you go back and say, no, I don't want to change that. Or, yeah, I did mean to change it and I forgot to save it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, our next view then, because I've selected Community Health Division, under Community Health, we'll go back here for a second. Under Community Health, we have WIC and tobacco. So when I'm looking at Community Health, I'm also looking at the first level groups underneath it. So these are level 3 groups reporting to Community Health. If there were groups underneath tobacco, for instance, like level 4, my initial view wouldn't include those groups. It only includes one level down. The reason for that is that in Community Health, if I'm the Community Health Director, probably the Director of Tobacco and the Director of WIC would be reporting to me, hence the reason we drill it down. So going back to Community Health here, go back to the traffic or the dashboard screen. Okay, so when I'm at Community Health, I hit the Groups tab here. What it's going to do is show me Community Health and Tobacco and WIC down this column, and then basically the same information over here. So it's just looking at my groups. And again, I could look at the department and show every group down the department if I wanted to. my initial view at the department level would be, again, it would be the department level and all the level 2 groups, not anything deeper than that. And that's where this show subgroups button comes in. The show subgroups button says, I'm going to show everything underneath, in this case, community health. It would show nothing different because there was no other groups underneath there. But at the department level, you would show the entire department down here. And again, basically the same information over here. And my third view is strategic priorities. What that is the strategic priorities from our strategic plan, and again, mapped against everything else in the system here. So here's the 5 strategic priorities from our USA Public Health Plan in here. And then again, basically the same information over here. So that's the kind of the drill down at the bottom here. The top right corner, my priorities. These are individually selectable objectives that you personally want to keep your eye on. Now, again, I can drill down on these, and I'll show you how we turn these on and off. So I've got this one down here. This green flag right here indicates that it's going to show up on the dashboard. If I click on it, it'll turn gray. And when I go back to the dashboard, it won't be there. I'm going to go ahead and turn that back on. Let's go ahead and turn on reduce smoking at Wayne High School. Again, I click on it, it turns green. Now, when I go back to my dashboard screen, okay, you may see this dialogue. What's happened here is, would you like to stay on the selected group tobacco programs, or would you like to go back to your default group community health? So because I've selected objectives within the tobacco group, it says if I go back, I can select to look at the dashboard for just tobacco, or in this case, I'm going to go back to community health. So now when I see that on the top right corner, I should see both of these objectives up there. And there they are. Again, typically these, if you will, bookmark objectives are yellows and reds because they're things you want to keep your eye on. They're not quite on track here. And they're typically either things you're working on personally or things that your team members are working on, and you just kind of want to keep them front and center up there. So that is the dashboard screen. Again, first thing you'll do is select a group. Typically, it's going to be your default group. So when you log in, you're going to go to your default group. In this case, when I log in, I go to community health. So it's going to be my community health is my default group here. Now, you can do the same thing on your phone. So if you get the login, which is login.vmsgdashboard.com, or if you just go to vmsgdashboard.com, click on the link on the top right corner, you can log in on your phone. Same login credentials as you have on your desktop. And when you do that, you have an option to go to the dashboard screen. This is the same exact functionality on 3 screens here. So you've got the top left corner, the bottom, and the top right corner up here. These little blue arrows take you back and forth between the different screens here. So if you want to go play with that at some point in time, just go in and log in there. Again, everything is clickable on here too. So I could look at these 7 activities for Diane and drill down to those activities. So you got a lot of functionality on the phone screen as well. Now we're going to talk about micro level performance monitoring. And this is at the objective and the activity level here. So let's go back to the dashboard. I'm going to go up to my group screen. I'm going to go down and select the tobacco group that we've been working with. And I'm going to go on down the pyramid here. So tobacco cessation, reduce smoking in high schools, reduce smoking at Wayne High School. And then I'm going to, let's go down to reduce smoking at Desert Vista High School and go down and look at the activities. Let's look at the second activity. Let's go ahead and look at the first one. This is the activity that I've selected, and this is the chart button, which is basically most of my micro level performance monitoring here. When I click on that, it's going to show me the chart of 0 to 100%, in this case, of creating the training content up here. Up in the top left corner, you see a couple of different options. So this one is from September 5th, 2020 through September 16th, 2022. If I just wanted to look at a subset of that from a date point of view, like maybe October 15th through August 29th, I can just go ahead and set these dates up here, and basically it'll just shrink my chart down to fit within those dates. This is kind of nice to have when you've got something that spans multiple quarters or multiple years, and you just kind of want to look at it in a different time frame. You got a couple of different options here on the drop down. Raw indicates show me all the data points, every data point that's been entered. Days says show me just either the last value or the average value for a specific day. And this only would come into play if you've entered multiple data points in a single day. And you have your choice on the timelines, weeks, months, quarters, or years, same thing. So if I was looking at, let's say months, and I had entered 4 data points within the month, and I want to look at the chart just by month. So instead of seeing every data point, I just want to look by month. I can select months here, and then I can say, I want to see just the last value that was entered in that month, or I want to see the average of the values that was entered in that month. So it just gives you some flexibility, typically looking at longer time frames in there. Over here, we have the ability to change the scale. So right now, my scale is set at auto, which makes it 10% greater than the highest value in here. If I go down and change it to 100%, then it caps it out at 100% in here. So you got 2 choices. Auto is highest value plus 10%, and auto or 100% is obviously exactly that, is 100%. So that is the history or the performance history chart. Again, you're going to start out at by default, it's going to go to the first date value in there and the last date value and give you the whole chart. And then you can go and narrow it down as you see fit. Now, the data points for this come from the history file. The history file is a record that's saved every time you do a save on the dashboard. So we'll go back into here. And this is my history file right here with the hourglass. And when I click on that, it's going to bring up the history records. So we're going to start out down here at the bottom of 9/5/20 and move our way up to 9/16/22. You can look at the chart. You can look at the activity if it's changed. You can look at any notes. You notice the notes have changed over time here. And then over here are the data values that we're actually tracking. Now, for those of you who are either manager level or admin level folks, you can change a couple of things about this. You can either delete one of these records. And to do that, you click on the record here. And then down here, you've got the delete button if you wanted to do that. Or you notice the date appears down here. You can change the date. And where this comes in handy, and this is something we'll get into in an advanced reporting training here. Where this comes in handy is if you either made a mistake in putting a data element in there, or you're putting historical data elements in there. So you're going to save a data element, then you're going to go backdate it to before the dashboard is implemented or something like that. Again, we'll get into history a lot more in a future training here. So that is the micro level performance monitoring. And then again, that is at the objective and the activity level. So before I dig into reporting, are there any questions on the things we just went over, macro and micro? Okay, let's move on. Reporting. We're going to go into the main reports that you'll be using in the system. There's a category of reports that we're not going to get into today. We actually separated that out into a future training. It's called advanced reporting. And that is what you'll see, the category tag report, categorization report, because it requires more in-depth training to be able to understand what those reports are all about in there. So the most common report is the operational plan report. The blue button up here is your reports menu. So we'll go back to here. Now, one thing to know about reports, if I select a group up here, so I'm going to select Tobacco 2023 again. Now, down here at the bottom, we have what we call the cookie crumb. If I roll my mouse over here, it gives you the text description behind the abbreviations here. So tobacco programs, and you'll notice over here, there's nothing in service initiative, goal, objective, or activity. If I'm in this state where nothing, particularly in the service box here, if there's nothing in there and I do a report, it's going to do it for the entire group. If I go down to here and select tobacco cessation, and now tobacco cessation appears down here, then the report is going to be just for that service. So it won't include, secondhand smoke and tobacco initiation prevention. So I'm going to go back here and select, and you notice it stays on here until I go back and reselect the group. So I select the group and now it goes away. I'm going to go up to my reports menu, the top right, the blue one up here, click on that. The most common report that you'll use probably almost all the time is the operational plan report. It's pretty flexible. I'm going to click on it. If you have hidden any services, so at the service level on the bottom right corner, there's a checkbox that allows you to hide services, typically for archiving. The only person who will get this box is either a manager user or an org admin user. A normal user won't even get this box. They can't look at historical data in here. But I'm going to go ahead and say no. Now it's going to show me the operational plan report for the tobacco program. The mission, vision, and values typically are at the top of the operational plan report. And when I get down to here, I'm going to look at the group. I'm going to look at the initiative, my goal. You'll notice down here we have that data source we talked about in the previous training here. This is the link to, in this case, the CDC smoking cessation fast facts page. My objective, everything that you want to know, but we're kind of afraid to ask. And you notice we have the other initiatives, even though they don't have anything underneath them down here. Now there's several options up here. First of all, the date range is saying I have every activity has got a beginning and ending date. So you see the ending date here is 3/1/23. If I use the date range, what it's going to do is just say, show me only the activities within that have an ending date within the given date range. So that's nice to know that if you're looking at something that has supposed to have been completed by now, you can look at a previous date range, or you can say, what am I supposed to be doing this week? You can take a look at it and say, show me the date range for this week. The next checkbox up here is my documents. So if I click on that, it's going to give me a little green line in here anytime I have a document attached. So you notice right here, we have a document attached to the initiative. Again, documents can be attached anywhere, to the groups, the initiatives, the goals, the objectives, the activities. And if I have multiple documents attached, it's going to show me a string out here separated by commas up here. So that's my documents. The blue down here are notes. There's times when you may have notes in there that you don't necessarily want to share with somebody. You're just showing them the plan. So I can hit the hide button here. And what that does is basically exactly that, just hide the notes. So everything that's in blue, you'll notice has gone away at that point in time. Click that back on. Another nice field, if you got a long report, like your strategic plan, for instance, and you're using the traffic lights adequately to determine the green, yellows, and reds, and you just want to say, hey, what do I have that's in red status here? I can just click on this and say, just show me everything that's red. And what it'll do is just filter the report down to just the red activities. Now it's going to show everything above it, so you still have the reference of the pyramid there. But you'll notice down here, the only activity that shows up is red. So it just gives you the ability to go down and say, what do I need to work on for this particular plan, something along that line. Go back up here to all. The next group up here are what level do you want to look at in the plan? I can go all the way from the services level. And what that does is just show me the very highest level up here. So we've got the initiative 1, 2, and 3. If I click on the goal level here, it's going to show me the initiatives plus the goals underneath there. In this case, the goals are only up at the tobacco cessation initiative up here. And then obviously I can do the objectives and the activities as well. So this is a very flexible report. You can look at a lot of different information at different levels in here. Anytime you want to save or print this report, you're going to go down to the bottom right here, click on this. You're going to say, this is my default report name up here. I'm going to click on that. And it's going to open a little window saying, where do you want to save it? So I'll just go to, we'll just call it. Let me click up here. And the report is always saved as an HTML, which is the web-based language. And the reason for that is because it's a highly structured, formatted language, kind of an industry standard, and you can convert it to anything else. You can convert it to a Word document, you can convert it to a PDF file, you can print it off as is, highly structured. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. When I do that, it's going to give me my report down here in the browser. I'll close this. And when I open that report, it's going to show me just exactly what I had printed in there. So to print this, actually to print it or to convert it to a PDF, you just go up and use the browser functions up here. So you use your browser print function. You can print to PDF. You can print to your printer, whatever you want to do up there. Okay, let's go back and look at some other reports here. So again, I talked about the category tag and categorization report and categories report. We won't be going over today, but we'll cover that in the future. Partner activities. Now, if you recall, at the activity level, we had the ability to assign external partners. So if I wanted to look at a specific partner and say, I want to see everything that has been assigned to the partner VMSG dashboard or to the partner contact, Fred Erickson at VMSG dashboard down here, I can select that, and then I've got two options. The little guy here, the partner search, is going to give me an editable screen to look at that. So then I could go in and maybe replace the partner with somebody else, or I could do a report. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and hit the editable screen, and it should show me, I don't know how many are actually assigned to that, one or two folks that are actually assigned to that particular partner here. Yeah, so we got two different activities assigned to that partner in here. And this is the point in time where I could go down here and, you know, if maybe VMSG is not our partner for this anymore, I could go and change that out or remove VMSG or whatever I wanted to do on there. Just go ahead and go back to that screen. The other thing I could do is down here, I can say, I just want to see everything that's assigned to Fred Erickson. Exactly the same thing, or I could generate the report version of that. And that's exactly that. It's just a report versus the editable screen in there. So this is nice because, you know, partners do happen to change over time, and you can go in here and say, show me everything assigned to Fred at VMSG, and I can reassign it to whoever the new folks are. So again, same thing we just saw, but in a report format here. Okay, we'll go back up here. So that is the partner activity report. The next one down here is the team lead. This is probably the second most used report that you'll have, the team lead report. Click on that. Now, when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the person who's assigned to the Tobacco 2023 group, which happens to be Steve Hansen. I can either look at different groups here, or I can just say all, and it'll show me every person in the organization here. I'm going to go ahead and say, let's pick Tom Keller here. Now, down here, I have several choices. Individual means I'm just going to show the person that I've selected here, in this case, Tom Keller. Group means it's going to show everybody in the group that I have selected, had I selected a group. So in the case of Tobacco 2023, it would just show Steve Hansen, but whoever's assigned to a group I can look at. All would say, show me everybody in the organization. So it's going to show everybody in the department. Down here, I have a choice for my activity lead of either, I can say, I don't care whether they're a lead or a team member. I want to see them on either option here. Or I can say just where Tom is a team member or just where Tom is a team lead. And then I can look at the objectives and the activities. And again, I have two options. I can either look at an editable screen here, or I can drill down and look at the report. So for now, let's just look at Tom Keller assigned to activities, either team member or team lead. And I'll look at the editable screen version here. And so you see Tom has been assigned to a bunch of different activities down here. So this gives me the ability, again, I can go in and if I need to, and this is, by the way, used a lot of times when you got turnover in people, somebody retires, you can go through and just click on these and reassign them to the new person in there. If you have a swap out of somebody, so you got somebody new coming in to replace somebody who's already there, and they're going to pick up all of their activities, just give me that information and I can do a mass dump and get it for you so you don't have to go manually through each of these in here. So that is the ability to look at the team members and what they're assigned to across the whole organization here. Again, I could look at the objectives and I could look at the same thing in a report format. We won't go digging into there for now, but that's the team lead report, probably the second most used report in the system here. Partners is exactly that. It's just a list of the partners down here. And what I'm looking at is say, do I want to look at all of these partners? Selected partner only, I'll say no. Print the contacts, yes. Contact detail, yes. And then I'll go ahead and generate the report. So now all it's doing is show me a list of the partners that I have in the organization. Again, nice to be able to identify where you have changeover and that sort of thing. You can print off that list or whatever you want to do with it down here. When I ask for details, what it's giving me is, in this case, all of the, sorry about that, hold on a second. My computer always wants to interrupt me while I'm doing one of these. So down here, I'm looking at the contact detail for Fred Erickson. I'm looking at the contact detail for the organization, all that information. So that's my my partner list. Back to here. Program abstracts we'll be talking about in the future. Yeah, the rest of these aren't things that you'd be normally using. Some of these are just things that that I have access to. So that is the reporting function in here. And again, that's probably what we showed you is probably 90% of what you'll be using. We will get into the categorization of three-dimensional planning and talk about those reports in the future here. But just an example of
Fred, I just had a question.
Uh-huh.
You were saying with the partner activities, who has the permission to assign the partners, or is that something you said you did?
Everybody, now when you say assign the partners or enter the partners?
Well, like if we had a partner, we're entering in there for them to have access to do certain activities, who assigns that to the partner, provides access?
Anybody who has user permissions, if you have permissions to the activity, you have permissions to assign a partner. But you don't necessarily have permissions to create the partner. So there's, well, let's go look at that real quick. Up in the main menu here, I've got my partners, and this is basically to manage the partners. So anybody can enter a new partner organization. You see all the information down here and the contacts within that organization. However, only folks with org admin capabilities can activate the partners. This button down here. The reason for that is when you get lots and lots of partners in there, sometimes you get duplicate partners in there. You enter them under a similar name, not the same name. So what happens is when you enter a partner and you want to use them, contact your administrator. They'll go in and take a look at it, make sure it's not duplicated, and then just hit the activate button down here. But
Thank you.
At the activity level, everybody who's got access to, well, I got to start over here. Go back to tobacco. Activities. So down here, anybody who's got access to this has access to assign those partners. Now, these partners won't show up until they've been activated by an org admin. Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, VMSG Public. This is how we create public-facing web page. It's really, really super simple. You can use it for lots of different things. I see it used a lot of times for giving like a quarterly status for the strategic plan to the board, maybe. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into your organization here. I'll go down to groups. I was looking at a couple of these, so I'm going to go ahead and look at the QI plan. Now, if I wanted to create a VMSG public page on just the entire QI plan, I go down here to this little button with the three faces on it, click on that. It says, where do you want to summarize? You can summarize it to goal, objective, and activity. What you're doing basically is counting traffic lights at that level. I'm going to go to the activities level here, hit the save button. And what it'll do is create an indicator row for the entire group here. So you'll notice we have, in this case, 8 completed or gold activities and 16 green activities. And we're a couple of years behind schedule, but this is kind of normal coming off of COVID in here. But this would be your exact schedule depending on where you are at the point in time. So what I've done now is created the entire plan right here, the QI plan, and the activity summary level. So if I wanted to keep this row, I'm going to go ahead and do that by saving it here. I'm going to uncheck, so you guys have already had some in here that you've been playing with. I'm going to uncheck all these for now. The ones that are checked are the ones that are going to appear on my web page here. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this one checked. I'm going to go back to my services now, and I have 3 services. So now I'm going to create an indicator row for each of these. Again, down to here, summarize at the activity level again, save that. It should give me another indicator row just for QI plan. So it's got a little bit different information in it, a little less far behind schedule. Go ahead and save that. So we got the 2 of them in here. Back to my services. Let's look at staff education and training. Generate the row. So we have 6 yellow. That's all we have in there. Save that one. And we'll do the last one while we're at it here. Documentation of quality improvement activities. create that. And we got a lot of green in here, so we're good. Save that one. Okay, so now I have these 4 indicator rows that I want to publish into a web page. And that's what this button down here for. It's going to export them to a web page. So the page is going to look like this. It's going to start out at the very top with the entire plan. It's going to break it down into the 3 initiatives, quality improvement plan, staff education and training, documentation of QI. And now I'm going to say, yeah, that's what I want to have here. So I'm going to save that. Now it's given me a place to save it here without a description. I'm just going to call this demo page, save that. This is the link that was created, this page 200.html. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to hit Control C on my keyboard to copy that. I'm going to go up and open up a new web browser tab and just paste it in there. Control V, enter. And there's my web page. So what this allows me to do is very simply and easily, you saw how easy it was to actually create a status page. Now I'm going to show you in a few minutes here how you can edit these and change them and make them prettier if you want to do that in here. But basically that's all you got to do to create the web page in here. Now, if you want to go back and see what you have in there or be able to reorder things or whatever, you can go to the main menu. And then down here at the bottom, you've got 2 buttons down here. One is performance indicator rows. I'll click on that. And it shows us the same thing that we had in there before and the ones that I've selected. The checkbox over here determines which ones are going to appear in the web page. So I could remove, one of these if I wanted to recreate the web page or just leave them all in there. The other button I have is the web pages themselves that have been created down here, and it's just the one that we just created in here. If I had a bunch of those, I could grab them and create them. So when I go in here to update this, what I have to do is go back through the same process I just went through at the plan level. So I'm going to recreate the web page. What it'll do is overwrite the data in there. Pardon me. It'll overwrite the data in there so that this link always stays the same. And that's a nice thing to have, because if you gave this link to your IT folks and says, hey, please put this up on our public facing web page so our clientele can see exactly how we're doing on our strategic plan or our QI plan in this case, it'll stay the same. So you're always updating behind the scenes in there. So that's really all there is to it. It's a very simple process to go through any page that you see that little 3 faces button on it here. We'll create an indicator row. I can also, by the way, let me see if I have something down at the activity level here. Let's take a look at this one, see if there's any, not really any data in there. I'm going to show you how to generate another row on there that's more detailed. Let's go take a look at this. Okay, well, let's assume that this has a chart on it in here. This button is on this page as well. And when I generate it from here, it's going to give me that chart right over here. So it's basically a miniature version of that chart with all the data elements over here. So then I can add this to the end down here. So now I have these. And when I'm going to go ahead and say overwrite. And when you do that, that overwrites the link. So I have the same link here. Export that. And down at the bottom, now we have that chart in there. So you can grab the charts at the objective and activity level and show the timeline status in addition to the traffic light status in here. Now, we noticed in the hang on a second, let me go back here and grab the indicator rows again. Okay, down here in the indicator rows, you got a bunch of, looks like gobbledygook down here. What this is that same HTML that the reports are generated in. If you have any experience with HTML, you'll understand all of these HTML tags. If not, I'm going to show you the ones that we normally use just to enhance the look of it. Plus, you can go in here, you can wipe this out. You can just type in, it'll come up with a default font in there if you type it in there, or you can go ahead and modify it to make it look the way you want it. And here's how we do that. So the HTML tags that we typically use, there's 4 of them. Font. So, and again, if you have any questions about these, just Google HTML tags and you'll find hundreds and hundreds of pages that define all this. But basically, you're going to say, we're going to use the font Arial size 2. I think size goes from like 1 to 7. The color that I'm looking at is navy. This could be dark blue, red, yellow, whatever you want it to be in here. The text that you're going to be working on is here. Then you use a close tag, which is the slash font. So I've got font over here, slash font ends it, and the text will look like this. Bold, same thing. You've got a bracket B and then a bracket slash B, bold text here. And then it just obviously means bold text. Same thing with italics, I slash I, italic text here. And then the kind of the unique one is BR. BR is a carriage return or a line break. There's no close tag to it. So just at the end of the line where you want to do a line break in here, just put a BR tag in. So what you're doing basically is down here, you're going in and being able to, and once you do it one time, it's very, very simple to do. I know it's not the optimal way to build that in here, but based on the fact that it's all HTML, it makes it pretty easy to give you a lot of flexibility in here. So I can go in and change this. I can take out everything and just put in the chart for the objective or something along that line is the text that I want to have in there. So that was what I wanted to cover today. Questions, anything else you'd like to see?
Anybody have anything?
As you start getting data entered in the system and get values entered into the objectives and activities, you'll see a lot more value for the, especially the micro level and macro level performance monitoring stuff in there. And when you get to the point where you want to be able to share with the board maybe or with public, you can use the VMSG public to easily build, those simple web pages that people can look at. Well, if there's no more questions, I will let you guys get back to work for the day. If you do have any questions or need any help on any of this stuff, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thanks, Fred. Can you send me this recording?
I will do that. I'll put it up on YouTube and send you a link.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.